All right, and so that was the traffic there. Not too bad for this hour of morning, but also not too bad at all is the conversation that we're going to have right now, which is about the Integrated Coastal Zone Management, ICZM, post-policy consultations, and Ainka will be jumping in with this as well.
A mouthful there in terms of the title, but first of all, thank you guys very much for joining us. I know that this is, as we were saying, a very necessary conversation to make sure that the person living in the coastal regions have their needs addressed, basically, yeah? So this one is taking place after meeting over 19 different, or having 19 different consultations.
Yeah, so in developing the policy back in 2012,
Right.
we had 19 consultations throughout Trinidad and Tobago in all coastal communities, including Port of Spain, because most of us live on the coast.
On the coast.
Coming out from what people identified as their issues and what should be addressed by an integrated coastal zone policy, we have developed the policy now, and we're now taking it back out. In finalizing the policy, we're actually taking it back out to make sure that people's concerns are being
met,
addressed.
right. Now, you were explaining that there is also the ability to see this policy online. Of course, we're digital people. So what is the website that we can actually go to check it out?
It's www.iczm.gov.tt.
Gov.tt, and we'd be able to not only view the actual policy, well, at least in its current state, but also be able to give comments. So the feedback is still...
Yeah, there's a form there for comments, which we will then add to the policy. And
Right.
Sterling Cheney, Deputy Permanent Secretary and Chair of the ICZM Interministerial Committee. I want to chat with you a little bit about the policy itself. What are some of the things that the main points that it entails?
Okay. One of the things is we recognize that the coastal zone faces certain challenges.
What are some of these challenges that they face?
We have climate change, we have disturbances, and quite a number of other things, right? We have mangroves being lost. We have quite a number of things, and Dr. Juman could add a few, right?
Okay, so we have a lot of, basically 70% of our population live on the coast, and about 80% of our economic activity takes place on the coast. We're a small state, so we have a small space. So you have all these activities taking place on a small space, and there's always conflict between the users that use the resources and the users, as well as the ecosystems are, of course, over time being degraded.
Right.
You know, and
one of the things we have to remember, Trinidad and Tobago are two island states, small island states, so we're surrounded by the coast.
yeah.
Right.
So we're dealing with things like coastal erosion. We're dealing with things like land-based sources of pollution. So we have pollution coming in from the land. We have pollution because of activities in the ocean. You know, we have our ecosystems being degraded, as I say, for build development.
Right.
And construct roads and different things. So it's a number of issues we have occurring along our coast. So the whole intent of an integrated coastal zone policy is trying to sustainably manage the coastline, taking into consideration the fact that people use it for economic activity,
Right.
as well as trying to conserve the ecosystems that provide us with all these ecosystem services.
Dr. Rana Juman, I want to ask who are the main stakeholders? You know, it says here that this policy is geared around improving the quality of life for those who live in the coastal regions and use the coastal regions for their day-to-day, their bread and butter, basically. Who are some of the stakeholders involved?
Well, I would say the whole of Trinidad and Tobago are stakeholders, because the whole of Trinidad and Tobago can be considered coastal because we're a small island state.
Yeah, you know,
we're
we
not
could
too far
drive
anyway.
Anywhere to be.
To the coast,
you could drive probably half hour, like, you know, if that long, sometimes, you know, 1 hour, and you could get to a coast somewhere.
Right.
I mean, I live in San Fernando, and it takes me just over an hour to get all the way to Maracas, for instance.
Exactly. So you're never too far away from the coast.
Right.
And they're the people that depend directly on the coastal zone for their livelihoods, the fisher folks, the people that live on the coast, a lot of industry. Most of our industries are actually located along the coast, our ports and so on.
Right.
Major cities are coastal as well.
Yeah.
So those are the major, in terms of the near shore coastal stakeholders. And then of course it have us, who we may not live on the coast or very near the coast, but we recreate. That's where we go for our recreation. That's where we go for relaxation. So, you know, so we are all stakeholders in that regard.
Right.
You know, and whatever happens on our coast impacts all of our lives.
That makes sense, because you did mention that you included Port of Spain as well, and for a nanosecond I go, but we're not close to the coast. And as you say, the recreation part of things, definitely comes from Port of Spain in a large value. Now, of course, they've listed some of the communities that you all have visited. Is it that these are places that have given us the most feedback or most impacted? How did you all decide to go to these specifics?
Well, we tried
Mayaro, Waterloo, and Environs.
when we did in developing the policy, we had the pre-policy consultation. So we
Right.
had over about 19 consultations throughout Trinidad and Tobago. And now going back to the policy, we try to locate areas that are like Southeast Trinidad, Northeast Trinidad, Southwest Trinidad.
A bit more
North,
generalized.
more
Okay.
generalized. But basically, we're targeting the entire catchment in those areas.
Gotcha. So the people of Chatham, Sangre Grande, of course, Scarborough and environs, we're seeing Mayaro for sure. And in the case of the Port of Spain, will we see a little South action? I'm sure the South people have been involved as well.
You know, as Doctor was saying that, you know, all Trinidad is pretty much coastal, you know, because we're a twin island state. You know, we're small islands. We're not far from the coast, and anywhere you go in the country, you're pretty relatively close to the coast itself. So I guess, as you were saying, there are a number of stakeholders, and we are all, as Trinbagonians, stakeholders in regards to this. And as you were saying, you called some figures earlier, as pertains to the economic activity versus the users. Right.
Yeah, it's estimated about 80% of our economic activities occur in the coast. Industries are located on the coast, our fishing sector, ports, or tourism.
Right.
Or most of our tourism infrastructure is also coastal.
Yes.
So those are main economic activities.
All right.
So now that we have the consultation, we've done the footwork, what's next? We have the website, we give in our comments. What happens after that?
Okay. What happens after that is that we will then be in a position to finalize the policy document. After the policy document is completed, we will then be able to ascribe actions that could address the issues. And so there will be this mix of policy, driving, action. So this is where we're going at.
Definitely need action where that is concerned,
Yeah,
because
that's
80% of our economy, come on, we need action all the time.
Yeah, correct, you know. And so I want to thank you very much, Sterling Chady, Deputy Permanent Secretary, Chair of the ICZM Interministerial Committee. I want to thank you as well, Dr. Rahana Juman, Deputy Chair, ICZM Interministerial Committee, for joining us this morning and for sharing all that you have. We do hope that people reach out, and this post-policy consultation would be very successful, because, again, it affects all of us, and it would be positive for all of us to be involved, and for us to, you know, really support this policy itself and the consultation that came out of it.
So we'll be checking out the website. Remind us again of the site.
www.iczn.gov.tt.
Okay.
Can I just say, on the 6th of May, we have the first consultation in Mayaro. The 7th is in Waterloo. On the 13th in Scarborough, Tobago. The 21st in Sangre Grande. And then the final is in June 3rd in Chatham.
So
those
you
are
have
the
your
locations.
locations, you can come on out and consult.
Yes. Give feedback.
For now, though, we take a quick break, and when we return, we have more.